Hello, I'm sorry. I know I am supposed to have an audience, and I did actually have one set up. I coerced fellow workers to come into the conference room and sit while I gave my speech. I had visual aids all set up, and unfortunately, my laptop decided not to comply and just sat on the lock screen all the time. Uh, well, that's technology for you. It happens. All right. So what I'm going to do is I will give you my speech that I gave to them, and we'll go from there. Uh, we can disregard this first couple of minutes, I hope, of my speech, and we'll start the timer now. Oh, I quit. I give up. I just cannot do it anymore. I'm done with it. I can't do it. No, not this class. Don't worry. Didn't mean to worry you. What I mean was, I can't do this anymore. That's right. After 40 years, I quit smoking. And for those of you who are thinking about it, I hope I can offer you some advice. At least I can offer you some information. Let's talk about the negatives of smoking. First off, you stink. Ew. That's right. Your clothes, your hair, your car, your house, anywhere that you smoke in accumulates that smell from smoking. And for non-smokers, it's rather abhorrent. I didn't find that out until after I quit. As a smoker, food tastes less inviting. Cooking, I found that I was using far more garlic powder, onion powder, extra seasonings to make the food taste better for me because the chemicals involved in smoking detracted from my sense of taste and my sense of smell, and both of which contribute towards our enjoyment towards food. Let's look at another aspect. Over the last decade, people who smoke have more become made to feel like pariahs. Okay? It is an unacceptable behavior. Okay? First, restaurants crowded us into small little rooms. Alright? And then they outlawed it entirely. We had to go outside to smoke. Okay? Federal buildings outlawed it and we had to go outside. Now, imagine if you're in court because, well, you had to pay a speeding ticket. And we all know, you go to court and you sit there for 3-4 hours, and as a smoker, you're like, oh, I'm stressed because I got to pay a ticket, and then again, federal buildings outlawed it. We have to go outside, and work followed that. We have to go outside to smoking areas, and it doesn't matter whether it's 120 degrees out or negative 5 degrees out. Just doesn't seem like they care about our health, even though what we're doing is unhealthy to begin with. And I won't talk into the negatives about health because we all know that. Let's talk about money, the negative side of smoking for money. And I'll just talk about my aspect. Okay, so I'm a 2-pack a day smoker. But as a 1-pack a day smoker, if I smoked one pack a day, a cheap pack at that, at $5 a pack, over a week I spent $35. In a year, I will spend $1,820. Now, for most of the time I've been smoking for 40 years, I smoked 2 packs a day. So each year I spent $3,640. $3,640 a year. Think about that. Now added up over 40 years, that comes to $145,000, $145,600 as a house bought and paid for. Now, had I never started smoking and started to buy a house at the same time, that house would be bought and paid off for 10 years ago. The same time I actually started buying a house. That's just kind of a comparison if you want to look at it. Now let's look at other aspects that are included or not considered when we think about how much it costs to smoke. Health insurance wise, I paid an additional $30 a month on my health insurance because I smoked. Okay? Life insurance. Life insurance that I paid while I smoked was $280 a month. Now, as a non-smoker, I paid $80 a month. So there is an additional $200. So we're adding $230 to that original price. When you add that up, not only would I have paid for a house by now, I'd be able to increase my herd of cattle substantially in the same time period with the money that I spent on cigarettes. Thinking about it now, I could retire rather than have to wait until I actually reached federal retirement age because I put the years in. But financially, it's not possible because I'm only 10 years into the mortgage that I could have started back then. So, financially, yes, it's expensive, and not just in the cost of the pack of cigarettes. So, do we want to look at the positives of quitting smoking? Well, of course, there's more enjoyment in food. You know, a lot of people complain when they quit smoking that they gain weight. Well, yes, they gain weight because they actually start enjoying food that didn't taste anything to them before. That's just another thing that you have to monitor when you quit smoking. Because, yes, we do eat more. We don't smell anymore. It may take you a little while to air out your car, to air out your house. There's a little extra charge in, cleaning your carpets to alleviate that smell. Extra laundry, but you smell better. And not only do other people notice it, but you actually notice it yourself. There's no more interrupted meals. You don't have to gobble it down so you can go out and have that after meal cigarette. And let's face it, we're all college students. Alright? No more interrupted dates. I'm sorry, let me just pop outside because I need a cigarette real quick. And you know she's heading for that exit as soon as you say that. There's better health. We all know smoking is bad for your heart, it's bad for your lungs, a myriad of different health problems. that become alleviated once you quit smoking. Now here's the thing. It takes 15 years for your lungs to recuperate and get back to where they were before you started smoking. So the earlier you stop, the quicker you get back to the health that you should be at. Which means that I'll eventually get there when I'm about 90, 95. Who knows? I'm not going to reveal my age to y'all. We've already discussed the money side of things. There's a substantial amount of money that will be saved if you quit smoking. Money that could be spent on entertainment and on family, on, I don't know, education, getting a degree. Just examples. Now, having said all that, I've talked pros, I've talked cons. If you decide you want to quit, there are certain aids available to you that will help you with that. Some are more successful, some are less. It depends upon the individual. Okay? Now, there's Zyban. I'm sorry, I don't have a packet to show you what it looks like. I do remember that it came in a pretty blue box. What it does is it stops the nicotine from adhering to your neural receptors so that your dopamine can still be absorbed, and therefore you don't get as much reward feeling from smoking. There is, let me get it, there is TBX. Okay, this is I'm sure you all remember the Listermint strips that you would put on your tongue to make your breath smell better. These operate in the same manner, and they're supposed to counteract your desire for smoking. When you want that cigarette, you put one of these on your tongue, and it detracts or reduces that feeling for the need for cigarettes. Now, personally, they're inexpensive. You can find them on the internet. They're not that expensive. I did not find them that useful. I'll be honest. There is Chantix. Now, Chantix is a drug that reacts very similar to the way that Zyban does as far as it affects the chemical balances in your brain and reduces that craving for nicotine. You're supposed to take it for a couple of weeks before you stop smoking, and gradually it reduces your need for nicotine, and then you follow that up with 6 months worth of taking the medication, and at that point it should reduce your chance of relapse after quitting. 2 weeks is what you're supposed to take it for before you decide, or before you actually hit your quit date and you stop smoking. Reports have said that it's very successful. My sister actually used it and quit, and has not started smoking again. It's just one of those other aids that are available on the market. There are patches. Nicorette is the most famous brand name. You apply the patch to your skin, and it produces or introduces nicotine into your system over a period of time. They also offer lozenges. They offer gum, which you can take as well as the patch at the same time for when you have those cravings and the patch doesn't work enough, and so that's that instantaneous satisfaction that covers that need. A lot of times those are used in conjunction with other aids that will help you. There's hypnotherapy. I won't get into a discussion about whether or not hypnotherapy is valid or not, what it is supposed to do is it does reduce subliminally or subconsciously reinforces your reasons for wanting to quit. Now, I tried hypnotherapy. Okay, I'll admit it was back in the 80s, back when there were no other drug aids and nothing else to kind of help you except cold turkey. And I was also working graveyard shift, so apparently I was very susceptible to hypnotherapy, only because I fell asleep real quick. Small wonder there, right? But yeah, ultimately, yes, I did actually reduce the number of cigarettes that I wanted to smoke. Having said that, though, the therapy itself was very expensive. It was $100 an hour, and you had to go 4 weeks in the first month and then 4-month follow-ups. And I was still smoking while I was doing it, so I didn't really see the financial improvement. In fact, I felt that I was spending more money, which I was, so I didn't continue. And maybe if I had, I would have been more successful for earlier. But, be that as it may, I'm just exploring possibilities and offering ideas on ways that you can quit smoking. Funnily enough, certain pharmaceutical aids like Zyban and Chantrix are now far more readily or more easily affordable after the federal government listened to the World Health Organization's report that over $300 billion a year is lost in revenue from productivity and health time lost for health insurance, etc. They mandated that instead of ostracizing smokers and delegating them to the outside, no matter the weather, that they would offer incentives to help them quit smoking. And so this was incorporated in health insurance programs, etc., etc. So there are smoking aids that are now far more affordable than they were when I first tried them. So Zyban, when I first tried it, was $100 a month for the prescription, and it wasn't covered by health insurance at all because it was an option that you chose. Now, the government is saying, if you choose that option, we're going to endorse you. So you have a lot more support in what you're doing. There's the federal quit line, which is, I believe, I'm sorry. I wrote the number down and I left it at work. I don't have it, but it's 1-800-I-QUIT. But you can Google it online. Look up the federal smoking cessation quit line, and it will give you that information. And actually, they're very valuable because they are actually available 24 hours a day on the 1-800 number. And I found a couple of times that, yeah, there were times I needed to talk to someone because I just really wanted that cigarette. And it's a funny thing. What I have found, looking back on it, is a lot of when I needed a cigarette was more because I was bored than anything else. And if I could get someone to occupy my brain, talk to me, make me think about things, like I'm in a work meeting and I know I can't smoke, and I'm paying attention to what's being said, I didn't think about wanting that cigarette. So a lot of it is what do you want? What do you need that cigarette, or are you just bored and you need that focus, that energy, quick energy that it gives you? So we've talked about the positives, we talked about the negatives, we've talked about the help that's out there and available. And you still don't know. Well, I can't tell you what to do. Only you can decide that. You have to ultimately decide what reasons it is that you want to quit. And you have to believe in those. You know? You have a choice. You know? You can do this, or you can put this in your pocket. It's your choice. You know, and I know, closing, y'all are going to ask, why do I have so many packages of cigarettes in my house if I quit? Well, for me, they're my affirmations. I put those packages in the places that I found the cigarettes hardest to give up, to remind me why I don't want them. So, just to give you insight. Whoops, sorry. My morning coffee. I put this by my coffee pot. When I'm driving to work and some idiot cuts me off, after dinner, when I want to get up and I want to go outside and have a cigarette. Sorry, I'm trying to get it so you can see what I've written on these, because I leave these predominantly placed in areas where, for me, that cigarette was the hardest one to give up. This one was while I'm studying my classes. And forgive me, the very first pack I took out of my pocket and I threw on the floor, I'm going to pick up. It's a different color because it was the very last pack I ever smoked, because it was the hardest one for me to give up. And it was that very first cigarette in the morning. My alarm went off. I rolled over and I immediately reached for the pack of cigarettes. And I had to find something more important than that first cigarette. Now, I hope you could read all those, because for me they were affirmations. They were reasons why I no longer needed that crutch. And each of you are going to have to find your own. And you're going to have to find your own way to reaffirm to yourself why you don't need them. But if you really want to quit, keep at it. If you backslide, don't criticize yourself. It happens. I tried multiple times before successful. You just have to keep at it. And I know you'll be successful. Good luck.